The dust swirled around the worn wheels of the old Chevrolet truck as it rumbled up to the modest farmhouse under the late afternoon sun. 24-year-old Margaret sat in the passenger seat, her hands trembling as she clutched a battered leather suitcase. Her long blonde hair was neatly braided, and her floral dress, though clean and carefully mended, showed signs of age and wear. She had always been larger than other girls her age, and her family never let her forget it. Her father's harsh words from that morning still echoed in her mind. "Margaret, this arrangement will solve our financial problems and get you settled. Thomas Brennan needs a wife to help with his farm, and frankly, we cannot afford to be choosy about suitors at this point." The words had cut deep, exactly as intended. Her parents had long made her feel like a burden, an unmarriageable daughter who ate too much and contributed too little. When the local bank threatened foreclosure on their small general store, her father eagerly accepted Thomas Brennan's unexpected proposal. "He's just a poor dirt farmer," her mother had said with distaste, "but he's willing to pay off our debts in exchange for your hand. Consider it your contribution to the family after all these years of taking from us." Now, as Margaret stepped out of the truck, she felt like a piece of merchandise being delivered rather than a bride. Her father barely glanced at her as he unloaded her meager belongings. "Thomas should be around somewhere," he muttered. "Remember, Margaret, you're his responsibility now. Don't embarrass our family name." As if summoned by the mention, two men appeared from behind the farmhouse. The first was clearly Thomas Brennan, a man in his early 30s with brown hair, kind eyes, and the steady posture of someone used to hard work. He wore a blue plaid shirt, well-worn jeans, and moved with quiet confidence. Behind him walked an older man with a full gray beard and a gentle expression. His overalls and cotton shirt marked him as a lifelong farmer, and his kind smile carried warmth. "Miss Margaret," Thomas greeted softly, removing his hat as he approached. "I'm Thomas Brennan, and this is my father, Samuel Brennan. Welcome to our home." Margaret was immediately struck by his gentle tone and respectful manner. Unlike other men who had looked at her with pity or disdain, Thomas's gaze held only kindness. "I know this situation isn't one you might have chosen," he continued, "but please know you'll be treated with respect and kindness here. This is your home now, for as long as you choose to stay." Her father completed the transaction quickly, eager to return to town with his debts settled. As the truck disappeared down the dusty road, Margaret felt more alone than ever, standing in the quiet farmyard with only her fears and a suitcase. "Come," Thomas said gently. "Let me show you the house. You must be tired and hungry after your journey." As they walked, Margaret noticed that the property was far larger than she had imagined. Sturdy fences stretched toward the horizon, and cattle grazed peacefully in the distance. The farmhouse itself was modest but spotless. The kitchen was warm and inviting, with a large wood-burning stove and a sturdy oak table that could seat 8. "It's not fancy," Thomas said apologetically, "but we've tried to make it comfortable. Your room is upstairs, the first door on the right. You'll have privacy, and there are locks on all the doors." Margaret was surprised by his thoughtfulness. She had expected to be treated as nothing more than unpaid help. Samuel spoke up then, his voice soft and reassuring. "Margaret, my dear, Thomas is a good man. He'll never make you uncomfortable or afraid. We both hope, in time, you'll think of this place as home." That evening, they shared a simple but delicious meal of pot roast and vegetables. For the first time in her life, Margaret felt truly seen. Both men treated her with genuine respect, asking about her interests and listening intently to her responses. When she mentioned her love of reading, Thomas's face lit up. "We have a fair collection of books in the parlor," he said eagerly. "Feel free to borrow anything that catches your interest. I'd love to hear your thoughts on them." Over the following weeks, Margaret discovered that life at the Brennan farm was unlike anything she had imagined. Thomas rose before dawn each morning to tend the fields, but he always ensured she was comfortable and cared for. He never demanded her time, giving her space to settle into her new home at her own pace. Gradually, she learned that the Brennans' modest farm was, in truth, a thriving agricultural enterprise. Thomas owned thousands of acres of fertile land, raised hundreds of cattle, and held lucrative contracts across 3 states. Why didn't you correct my father's assumptions about your financial situation? Margaret asked one evening as they watched the sunset from the porch. Thomas was silent for a moment. Because your father was looking for a solution to his debts, not a husband who would cherish his daughter. If he'd known the truth, his motives might have changed. And what were your motives? She asked softly. Thomas turned to her, his brown eyes sincere. Loneliness, he admitted. This farm has brought me success, but it's been empty. When I heard about your situation, I thought maybe we could help each other. As autumn turned to winter, Margaret found herself embracing farm life with quiet joy. She discovered a natural gift for organization and began managing the household finances and correspondence. Her intelligence and care impressed both men. She also began to change, inside and out. Regular meals, outdoor work, and peace of mind gave her strength and confidence. Her posture straightened, her laughter returned, and her eyes shone with life. One snowy December evening, as they sat together by the fire reading, Thomas set down his book and looked at her seriously. Margaret, I need to say something, and I hope you won't take offense. Her heart fluttered nervously. When this arrangement began, I thought we'd have a partnership of convenience, he continued quietly. But somewhere along the way, my feelings changed. I've come to love you, not as a helper or obligation, but as the woman I want to spend my life with. You bring light and warmth to everything you touch. Tears filled Margaret's eyes. Thomas, He held up a hand gently. You don't have to answer now. I just wanted you to know that if you ever choose to make this marriage real, it would make me the happiest man alive. Margaret looked at him. The kind, honest man who had given her more love in 6 months than her own family had in a lifetime. I love you, too, she whispered. You've given me something I never thought I'd have, a place where I'm valued for who I am, not judged for who I'm not. That spring, they held a second wedding ceremony, this time not out of obligation, but out of love. Margaret had blossomed into a confident, radiant woman who managed both home and business with grace and skill. When her family learned of Thomas's true wealth, they tried to reestablish contact, but Margaret politely declined.